Good afternoon, everyone. I am Sam Lawrence Simunkata, and I choose Ralph Goldberg's book, A Treatise Concerning Eternal and Immutable Morality. Ralph Goldberg's greatest work, A Treatise on Eternal and Immutable Morality, is a significant pillar of what we know about moral philosophy today. Thus, this treatise originates with Plato's ancient Greek wisdom and bolsters the contemporary and moral relativist currents. Goldberg calls us to look deep into the core of morality so that we can contemplate its divine and eternal meaning, which is free of human limitations and local prejudice. This is an evergreen work of art which Goldberg leaves with enduring and perennial contribution to moral philosophy. He takes us right there to where it all began by posing the most serious questions that are related to ethics and to virtuosity in life. In other words, his work provokes us to perceive the moral world as a continuous fabric made up of objective standards and carrying a divine meaning. Goldberg's wisdom still stands firmly against the waves of cultural relativism that argue for subjective and ephemeral moral values. Its echo still rings out as an eternal symbol that the spirit of morality emanates not from fleeting human affairs but from divine everlasting concepts. My main points are that it was during this intellectual and social revolution, dubbed the Enlightenment period, that rationalism rose. Ralph Goldberg's philosophical piece, A Treatise Concerning Eternal and Immutable Morality, came out during this transformation period. Goldberg set out to dispute against the skepticism about age-old religious basis of true goodwill. He wanted to make morality absolute and forever beyond my own time and culture. Goldberg's queries on morals, as well as ethics, still remained a fascinating area for scholars. Ethics were immutable regardless of social change, had its source in God as the beginning of everlasting righteousness. The view concerning objective morality is essential in the arguments between philosophers and theologians for ethics and moral values. Ralph Goldberg argues for the need to move away from human morality and relativism towards a stable moral system based on non-human and eternal principles. The philosophy of Goldberg refutes ethics as a mere personal opinion and emphasizes reason over it. Excuse me. It also considers analysis and description in literary analysis that involves a textual commentary, which is integrated into all aspects without misinterpretation and promoting certain specific features like artistic, ethic, or morality creativity. In case, criticism is more about interpretation than highlighting contemporary elements of the world commentary. In other words, Herridge argues that a contemporary literacy critics should first understand and interpret before they can criticize. In the passage, Goldberg's eternity thesis states that moral truths are not mere products of an ever-changing world, but rather exist independently and for all time. According to Goldberg, ethics should be anchored in a stable moral system with timeless principles. It stands as an everlasting torch in regard to ethics, urging us to see how logic and divinity relate in a domain of cultural relativism. Further, there is a passing reference to Analysis, a philosophical journal which was launched in 1953. This is short and very powerful argument, comprising many philosophical issues, starting from logic till moral philosophy, and is published 4 times every year. Finally, it addresses the moral claims of different religions and what these religions do to tie their flowers. This theory gives a theoretical foundation on which these moral claims are justified against different religions. Modern moral truth beliefs are studied in this chapter and discussed regarding religious ethics by ethical theorists, including anti-realism, a slightly bad root of falsified moral realism. Moral realist and anti-realist have different interpretations regarding the truth of moral assertions. The above passage focuses on the eternity thesis of Goldberg, the lasting effect of journal analysis, and begins the discussion on religious moral claims vis-a-vis contemporary ethical theories. Goldberg explores the link between ethical idealisms and a godly nature in a complex web of ideas that are stitched together. Convert incorporates mixed moral values together with idea of a reasonable, fair, and merciful God, which represents theology with fresh perspectives on morality and leads to the consideration of what is the wisdom behind ethics and the contribution made by the supreme power being towards human. Also, it addresses transhumanism, a philosophy which advocates for constant development of human beings. It is stated in the passage that many critics, including environmentalists, are suggesting that such outlook is becoming popular and disconnected people from their own natural environment. Transhumanism is an ultra-enlightenment perspective in comparison with enlightenment within Western intellectual culture. Moreover, connectivity to the divine, sacredness, and cosmic awareness are highlighted in the last stanza of the paper, referenced by Steve Fulber, Roberto Chiorti, and Chris Ernstone on November 15, 2016. Thus, we would be asking ourselves if it is possible to establish those specific objective moral truths that are not rooted in human subjectivity and susceptible to social modification. Moral diversity or development of different ethical codes is recognized, but it is difficult to ground morality on reason and intelligence. The objection aligns with John Leslie Mackey's critique of objective morality, as discussed in his work Ethics, his paper Questioning Firmament Virtues, and a book Inventing Right and Wrong. The objection, as well as Mackey's point out that cultural values and times dedicate people's understanding of morals. The critic of Ralph Goldberg's eternity thesis that argues for the existence of eternal and immutable moral goods is the subject matter in this passage. Such critiques are made in view of culturally induced moral relativism. On this note, it raises the challenge of balancing Goldberg's conception of permanent and universal ethics with the changing global ethics. The passage therefore raises larger philosophical points touching on ethics and morality, especially Goldberg's eternity. Secondly, it examines the importance of ethics in learning and its connection with the difficult question about moral education in multi-entity environment. This passage discusses the challenges experienced in cross-cultural studies regarding moral education and how they tie into the ongoing philosophy debates over moral absolutism versus moral relativism. These ideas, among others, make up an elaborate philosophical discussion of what is ethics and how it gives peace with changing ethics. This chapter is taken from the moral core of teaching theory on 20. In this passage, a defense of theological ethics in respect to the objection that morality is based on theological principles or in God is offered. Defenders claim that true morality could go with a divine basis if such morality exists. The objectors argue that the critics' conviction that God exists and there exist moral rules is too much. On this premise, it is possible to assume the existence of ethical truth within other faiths due to common morality. Moreover, they emphasize of epistemic humility, affirming that though theological and metaphysical explanations may not be proved beyond doubt, they present compelling rationalizations for the source of ethical faiths. The discussions are analogous to arguments concerning calls of connection in binary visual region from supporters and opponents of theological ethics. These both involve prompts of relevant sites, common traits, as well as joint networks. The researchers discuss the analogies with regard to anatomical aspects and functions, with a particular focus on lateral intrahemispheric and callous connections workings. The said passage connects neurobiological alignment with ethics to an observation that philosophy illuminates networking or links in several fields. This entails philosophy's ability of interpreting linkages in multidisciplinary perspectives, just like how theology supporters make sure that good morals coincide perfectly with the existence of gods across various religions. The source of this discussion is the visual colossal connection. Kirsten E. Skinner on 2013. A connection like any other, it illustrates a classical moral philosophical controversy, which shows difference between opinions of Lord Goldberg, who wrote in 1995, and Gilbert Harman. Goldberg's argument supports the notion of objective morality that is based on reason and divine authority, and seeks for unchanging moral truths in shifting cultural mores. On the arguing that absolute moral truth does not exist, while advocating for a more culture-sensitive and adaptable morality. The issue pertains to whether a moral truth has come absolutes or just interpretations. This emphasizes that ethics and the nature of subjective ethical values form a part of ongoing debate over moral behavior in philosophy. The quote part represents a philosophical debate with Simon Blackburn and Rob Cutler about the foundation of ethical judgment. The classical work of Cutler dwells on everlasting moral laws that have been engraved in reason as well as divinity. Unlike Blackburn, however, is another contemporary and postmodern philosopher who believes in unchanging moral principles that remain constant irrespective of changing cultures and history. In a sense, these philosophers prove that there are some permanent truths in morality, although it differs so much during the course of human history. The discussion continues to underscore the relevance of objective morality today as we pursue truth and our efforts at being truly aware moral. What is the question that has been asked repeatedly in moral philosophy? One example of this would be the argument of anti-moral realists, such as Mackey against naturalists such as Albert. Moral anti-realism proponent Mackey asserts that morality exists within the confines of human mindsets and not objectively external to people's minds. His argument is that moral facts do not inhere in the structure of the world but arise out of reason, society, and culture. On the other hand, Convert, as opposed to him, an advocate for moral realism, argues that there is eternality as opposed to temporariness in ethics, which is based on rightness as opposed to wrongness. Convert argued that moral exists independently of any particular subjectivity or culture and hence can be described as meta-subjective. This extent of this moral conflict shows just how difficult it is to come up with proper morality rules. It is necessary to view the roots in the relativism of ethics, taking into consideration that there was a process involved in mental formation and evolution of groups among man throughout history. However, Convert's point view argues for realism or objective morality, which is above the level of awareness dimensions of morality, which lead us into in-depth investigation about what is good and bad and even what is morality itself. Therefore, my paper makes these 7 pages in 18 hours. I'm so proud finishing this paper with help from Sir Chan for introducing me to a website where I search my sources. To Tato Rupinta for demonstrating to me. To Emmanuel Golurata to instruct me. To Kuya Jumel Sarke to advise me. And also to Angelo Bala for reminding me about making my thesis paper. And also, I am grateful to all brothers for facilitating that I do my thesis paper. Brothers, thank you very much for your kindness. You are indeed a valuable friend of mine. Throughout my life, you have always brought joy to me. May our Lord abundantly reward you for all your endeavors. So thank you for watching my video and have a nice day.